My dad is from El Paso, Texas, and my mother was from Raton, New Mexico. My mother's parents came from Spain, and so my mother was Spanish. And she met my father in Raton, New Mexico, and they got married. I have a sister who lives in Nevada, and my parents are deceased. And I was born March 21st, 1934. So I'm up there. I'm old. My mother was a waitress. I think my dad came in for coffee or food at this cafe in Raton, New Mexico, and that's where they met. My father, for a living, sold used cars in San Diego. It's amazing the life that they led, because they were alive when the Depression was here, okay? So they slept on the beach in San Diego. That's where they came from. And my father worked for the government, building stadiums and things like that. And my mother was just a housewife. I had a wonderful childhood. There wasn't the problems that we seem to have today with guns and all that stuff. It's where I was raised, San Diego, never left it, and went to school there. That's my kitty. You're going to hear a lot from my baby today. I went to school. I did 2 years of college in San Diego as well. Then I moved up to Los Angeles because I was going to be a singer. That was going to be my career. And so I moved up here, and I worked in Las Vegas singing. And I went to New York, which was my dream, to go to New York. And I did the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson a couple of times as a singer. My singing led me to writing, and so I wrote lyrics, and I wrote a couple of plays, but I also worked with various celebrities in polishing their act, writing their script, the act. I did two specials, television specials, and 3 concerts of Diana Ross. So I was with Diana for a long period of time, and also Mitzi Gaynor, Melissa Manchester, Mac Davis, John Denver, lots of different people. And I received 3 Emmy nominations. And I've been singing here. There's a club in Silver Lake called The Other Side. It closed down finally, but I would go there on Sunday nights and sing, or Thursday nights and sing, which I'm still sort of doing. I had a lot of experience singing myself. So, I was in the industry. So I always had like a musical background. So it was sort of a natural transition to work with musical celebrities, I did like 7 specials of Mitzi Gaynor and about 7 nightclub acts. And you write material, special material, you put songs together, you put this song with this song, like medleys, and there's just a lot of ideas that you put into these people rather than just coming out and singing. There's an idea behind it. And so that I did a lot. I work with composers, with people who play the piano. I don't play the piano. So I work with a music partner. Most of it was with Dick DeBenedictis, his name is. Dick's done a lot of work, and we collaborate together. Dennis and I moved up from San Diego, and we first lived in Westwood, then Hollywood, and then Beverly Hills. And I went to Vegas, or actually Vegas and New York, when Dennis was doing Giant. He had done Rebel Without a Cause when we were together, and then he did Giant, and then the rest is history, And it's funny because Dennis lived in Venice as well. We both sort of came up together. He went to the same high school I went to in San Diego, out in Lemon Grove, La Mesa. And so we decided to come to Hollywood to seek our fortune. And he did very well. I was very saddened by his death. The whole art thing with Dennis came after I went to New York. When I went to New York, I didn't see Dennis very much after that. I would see him when he came to New York, but I was in the Army. I got drafted. I was in the Army. So, and then I lived in New York, and Dennis was out here, and he was doing a lot of film. And so I didn't have a chance to see him that way. Fort Dix for a while in New Jersey, and then transferred to Frankfurt. Well, it's called Rhine-Main, really. And I had a good time. I liked being in the Army. I was only in for 2 years. But then when I came back from New York, after living in New York for a long while, I lived in Hollywood. And I had a place there, and I sold it and moved to Venice. And that was around 1990. There was a family Holvac, which I did the title song. The other one was called The Man and His Women, or something like that. It was the life of Florence Ziegfeld, the Broadway producer. I wrote a title song for that called Until the Music Ends, and I got an Emmy nomination for that. Judy Garland, and there's a lot of others. I mean, I love Peggy Lee, and I love, of course, there's all the 30s and 40s. People today don't hardly know who these people are. Tony Bennett, love him. But all this, the new music and all the rock and roll and the rap and all, that left me behind. Well, I've written 2 plays. They're musicals. One is called The Fellowship, which is about these characters going through the first year of Alcoholics Anonymous, which I am 1A. And so that's called A Fellowship. That was like 1 year of their lives going through the program. And then another one called Trolls, or All This in Heaven Too, the script is right there, which is about these 5 gay characters coming to a wake of a friend of theirs who passed on and what he left behind. And they want to be remembered as he's been remembered. And that played in Los Angeles, San Diego, and New York. Nothing was ever a big hit that you ever heard on the radio. No, that never happened for me. But yeah, she recorded our title song for one of her specials. And I guess that would be the best one. It's a very pretty song called May I. May I take a giant step, my friend, may I? So it's a nice song. Mitzi Gaynor and Diana. Diana treated me with great respect. I think it was those 2 people, Mitzi Gaynor and Diana Ross. I had a friend out of show business, this lady named Margot Tannenbaum. And Margot said to me one day, she said, because I knew her through show business, okay? She was an actress, and we knew that, and that's how I knew Margot. But she said, you want to come to a demonstration tomorrow, Sunday, in San Bernardino? And I said, yeah, I got nothing to do. I didn't know anything about it, but I'll just see what it's like, you know. So we went out there, and it was at the animal shelter in San Bernardino. And this particular shelter sold more animals to research than any shelter in Southern California. And of course, that's why the demonstration was there, because he was putting the spotlight on a place that practiced pound seizure, which is that's what it's called. When shelters sell animals to USC, to UCLA, which they were doing, that business is called pound seizure. And we fought it, but it was all new to me. And there he was on the roof of this shelter with 2 girls, that is Chris DeRose. Chris and 2 girls were on the roof, and the police were there. And they brought them down head first, took them to jail. They released them. The next night, Chris came to my house in Hollywood, and he told me about animal rights. I had no idea that all this shit was going on. It was devastating. I became an animal activist that night. I didn't have that great an affinity to animals. I mean, I liked animals, but I didn't connect at all, And he not only told me about pound seizure, which was new to me, but about all animals, not all, but a lot of the big issues, like fur and all those. And I'll tell you, he took me to a vegetarian restaurant, which was new to me too. And we're there, but it was a restaurant that didn't cook the food. It was all sun-dried. And I turned to Chris and I said, do we have to give up stoves too? But anyway, he led the way. He was my mentor. And it opened my eyes, and I became an activist that night and forevermore. It became a campaign, and it was the first issue that I was involved with. And we had to go through the Board of Supervisors for it to change, but also to have an election out in San Bernardino to end it. And we won. We lost, and then we won. And we ended pound seizure in Los Angeles, which was great. As you can imagine what a horrible thing that was. That a lot of those shelter animals were probably people's pets before they ended up in the shelter in many instances. And those pets were then put in one of my jobs was kind of to spy, I suppose, what would be the word. And I would be outside of Cedars-Sinai, and I saw the truck pull up, and all these little animals come out on leashes, and their tails wagging, and they're going into the building. I could do nothing. I just had to record what I saw, and there were about 30 dogs in this big truck that they unloaded at Cedars, and they were just happy little dogs, and I knew that they were going to go in there and be tortured before they were killed. And it's tough, It's very tough. Unfortunately, there's very few victories that we have. We always seem to not quite convince people of our cause. But there have been victories. Like in the city of West Hollywood, they've adopted the Guardian language, which other countries and states have. That is to get rid of the word owner, that you're not an owner of that animal, you're a guardian. So we have that, many victories in that area. To end puppy mill sales, we've closed some stores dealing with puppy mills. The vivisection is the toughest one of all, because they have a lot of power, a lot of money, a lot of drug companies, colleges and stuff. We go to UCLA every year during World Week for laboratory animals. You don't see any victories there. And it's a heartbreak because these animals are put in cages all of their life. They live in these cages, and then they're tortured and they're killed. And I wish I could tell you one experiment that we ended. I think in the country there's been some, but as far as Los Angeles, I can't think of one victory as far as vivisection goes. That's a tough one. There's a lot of money behind it, a lot of power. And those bills, I don't know if you know, but for every $1 you get in research grants, like at UCLA, get grant money, 50 cents is also added to that for allied interests, like for parking lots or building. That's why they got all those buildings and parking lots over there at UCLA, because they got 50 cents for every $1 from NIH. National Institutes of Health, our government agency that finances vivisection. Yes, 3 times. I remember one demonstration, we had more than 100 people and 100 of us were arrested. It was great. It was like a great victory that we could do that. And it was fine. But yeah, well, then another one, I was put in the jail there, which, it's just kind of stupid on their part. They didn't have to do it. So, but 3 times. They release you, they arrest you and then they release you. A lot of these experiments did. I tell you one that was the most brilliant of all. A woman contacted, I used to be with Last Chance for Animals, and then now I'm with In Defense of Animals. But with Last Chance for Animals, this woman contacted us, this lady. She said that she had visited UCLA to visit her husband, who was a patient there. And when she left, she went down this corridor, and she got lost. And she opened the door, and there were these cats in stereotactic devices in their head. These cats in these cages with all this equipment on them, all this wire and stuff. She called us and told us where that room was. So what we did, this was a big demonstration. It was during World Week, and there was a lot of us, and demonstrating in front of UCLA with signs and everything like that. But also going on were 2 groups of people, groups of maybe 5 people here, groups of 5 people here, including Chris and some other people. We had a demonstration out on the street there, LeConte, and then this group went this way towards where the research facilities were, and the security and the police and everything followed them, followed this group. This other group went this other way, and we went to that. I didn't go. They went to that room where those cats were. Now, meanwhile, the college people had a press conference, and they showed these cute little rabbits, white little rabbit. You see how look how nice they look. We're not doing anything. We're not hurting these. No, so show that. This group now goes in. The door was locked. They kicked it open. They went in and filmed all these cats. And we quickly got that film right then and there out of that building, because now they figured this whole thing out and they were coming after this group here. But this group and the tape, we got the tape out and went to the trucks. There were about 5 trucks there. Quickly made copies, gave it to all these trucks. That film was seen in Israel that day. In Israel, that showed that demonstration. Because here's the nice little rabbits that they don't harm, cute little white little things, and these cats. The truth. But that was the best thing we ever did. It was because it was international news, But the beat goes on. They're still experimenting on those cats. Before we went there, they used to do all this stuff, but they stopped it because we brought the attention to it. But there is this big trash container. Those big trucks they had it by the research building, and on the top there you can see dead cats in this trash thing. It's awful, man. I started animal rights in 1980. I was about 10 years with Last Chance, and then I moved over to In Defense of Animals. I was with Chris when he started. It was called Second Chance for Animals or something. We had some other name for it, but then it became Last Chance for Animals. I knew Elliot briefly, but we met again in the March for the Animals in June of 1990 in Washington, D.C., which was like the most thrilling day of my life with these people. There were 50,000 people there. And they all felt the same way I felt. We were brothers and sisters. And it was just... And Elliot was so kind. These leaders of the groups had about, I don't know, 3 minutes each to speak on the steps of the Capitol with the flag above you. Elliot gave me his 3 minutes. That killed me. That he would give up that precious time for me to speak. And so I got to speak. And there I was on the steps of the Capitol, thank you, with a flag above me in America. It was wonderful. But anyway, he asked me to join in Defense of Animals. We worked on various issues through the years. I mean, fur and circuses and elephants and vivisection and all of it. There's so many, it's just, there isn't an animal in this world that we have not used in some way. Either we've eaten it, we wear it, we experiment on it, it entertains us. And what gets me more than anything, is the suffering that's inherent in it. It's not enough just to kill it, whatever animal, whether in the laboratories or in the fields, wherever. They have to suffer. They have to suffer. And so this whole thing with gun control, there is a correlation, and somebody smarter than I has to write it and put it down on paper, because it's sophisticated, but it's there. There's a correlation between the killing of animals and gun control and fighting and hunters. Oh, well, he's just hunting, He's not going to harm school children or anything else because he's a hunter. He's just a hunter. And so we use guns, and guess what? They kill animals. It's not as if they kill the animals and take it home and fry it and eat it. I bet if you really did the study, and the article could show, a lot of people are just out hunting, let's kill it, let's shoot it, see if we can shoot it. They're not doing it for food, believe me. But anyway, there's an argument there. There's a theory there. There's something. I wish, of course, you say this and people think you're crazy. I wish they could get rid of every gun in the United States. Every gun. Or outlaw hunting. And of course they say that, oh Lord, look at these animal rights people, they're going crazy. They want us to be vegans, they want us to stop hunting, and my little boy, he loves to hunt. He loves to shoot that gun. Loves it. They do love it. Well, anyway, I'm going on about that. But there is a correlation, I swear to you, between gun control and hunting. Well, I think we were animal rights, not animal welfare. And I think LCA, Last Chance, and In Defense were the prominent ones in Los Angeles. But every year there's sort of demonstrations that we just do automatically every year. I mean, we're at the Korean Consulate, the North Korean Consulate every year. We're in Chinatown for a certain part. We're in Olivera Street for certain issues. Fur, it's always Fur-Free Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, the biggest shopping day of the year. We've been there for 25 years, and not that much has changed with fur. World Week for Laboratory Animals. That takes place on Earth Day around that time. We do the circus. We do Ringling Brothers. Every time they come to down those people, we had 400 people there last year, which is great. But we worked hard to get those people there. And so every year there's anniversaries, we just hit, all right, this is going to be the time to do, I don't know, eating dogs and cats in Korea. We're in Cameroon, we're in Africa, and we're in India and Mississippi and different offices across the United States. The same issues. We all would participate in demonstrations together. When we do Fur Free Friday, it's being done somewhere else, or even internationally. We would contact many groups, particularly with fur. We must be a part of maybe, I don't know, at least 300 animal groups in the world that are concerned about fur. There's probably more than that. I don't know the total amount, but we all joined together. One of the things we did was Catalina Island, where they were killing goats because they were reproducing and ruining the topography. So we went in there and got their permission, the Conservancy's permission to relocate them, and we rescued about 120. So the goats were off the island, and they went to a place called Goats R Us, which has goats going out to feed on grass to stop forest fires. That was successful. So we followed it a couple of years later with the buffalo. Same situation. They were ruining the grass. And so we relocated more than 100 of those to prevent their death. Now, what we're doing there now in Catalina Island with the Conservancy is a contraceptive program where they're being fixed so they don't have babies, with some of them, So that population has been reduced. They want to keep them there because they're a tourist attraction even though they're non-native. They want to get rid of all animals that are not native to that island. That's what they're doing, and we're making it a no-kill island. Right now our battle is with deer. They let hunters on the island to kill deer. We're going to stop that because we want Catalina Island to be a no-kill island, maybe the first one in the world that's no-kill. So we're working on that now. The Conservancy is with us on it. But meanwhile, we've got this very successful contraceptive program that's really working. The population has been reduced. And they're going to keep I guess they're going to keep the buffalo there, the bison. Oh, there's always that backfighting, petty. I hate that. You just have to not get involved in those petty fights that go on. It's just, I'm more perfect. I'm more animal rights than you are. I'm more perfect. I just hate that. A bunch of groups, we got together, we lobbied city council. We've been doing a lot of that. We want to get rid of the elephants coming into Los Angeles. So we're working on that. Exotic animals. So it's coming before the council to eliminate the elephants and the tigers and all those animals from the circus coming to this town, that they would not be allowed to come here. And also, of course, this story about the elephants at the LA Zoo, to get rid of them and close down that exhibit. There's a lawsuit going on about that. But there's a lot of wonderful groups, a lot of wonderful people. It's a group called CARE, which is out in the desert. They do wonderful work. I've been to their facility. They have cats and dogs, and they do wonderful work. And there's a lot of welfare groups. Actors and Others for Animals does wonderful work. I think it's the greatest cause there is, period. Because the ones we're saving are innocent. They have no voice, and we're their voice. So I would encourage people to join groups or to not leave, to hang in there. It's a tough. You watch the television And there's just, or even like our emails. And every day I get about 100 emails of people looking for places for animals. I've got a cat, I've got a dog. Can you save this? This dog is going to die in 5 hours. Can you save it? I mean, it's like that. You know, it's like, so you can't even turn on the emails because that's what's going on here. There doesn't seem to be like a priority when you talk about all the issues that are before us now: immigration, gun control, you know, all the ones that people care about. There's not anything about animals. You know, never. There's global warming. They talk about that, which is terrific, you know. And I like our president. I just wish he would have got a different dog than the one he got. That wasn't a good choice. It's a nice little doggy. I'm not saying put him down, but I'm just saying that has nothing to do with animal rights. But we should do more for animals. The public and our government, our officials should do more. We have a couple of friends, but not enough. This book is called In Your Face by Chris DeRose, who's the president of Last Chance for Animals. He says, Bill, no words can describe how I feel about you. We've been through a lot. For the animals, love, Chris DeRose. The main story in this book is when we did this investigation of a bee dealer. A bee dealer is somebody who collects animals and sells them to research. And we found a woman who was doing it. Hi, Barbara Ruggiero, and we put her in jail. We followed her around and gathered evidence of her going to people's homes and saying, oh, she wants their dog for her grandmother, or she wants their cats. She's looking for some cats for my children. All this lies. And she sells them to UCLA, to Cedars. We were at Cedars when they came there, showing the public that these animals were obtained illegally and that they're people's pets and they're going to be vivisected on. So that's the main story in this book, but he's done a million things. And he's been a great activist, and he's been my mentor. He and Elliot Katz changed my life. And I wish I'd known about all this earlier in my life, because, you know, it wasn't enough. It's never enough. And you get tired of it, too. You feel sometimes, this is my theory. All those times we go to UCLA or Cedars, we'd have demonstrations at Cedars, and I always walked away from that knowing that I did not save one animal's life. But I realized later that because we were there, we made, through the 80s, starting with the 80s, we made animal rights a mainstream issue. That's what we did. All that time we were there, feeling hopeless. There's so many of us there, and feeling like nothing, that we didn't change anything. We did. We made it a mainstream issue. So thank you, all you lovely people, man. Thank you.